has our favourite Chinese multi-hyphenate life enjoyer been up to this week? Find out in the Wang Yibo Weekly. Well, last time I was here, I was telling you all about Paris because Eva was in Paris for the Chanel Haute Couture Autumn-Winter 2025 show. And the Wednesday last week was just like a constant barrage of posts and stuff from the Chanel show. There was posts on Instagram, there was posts on Weibo, there was stuff up on Douyin. It was Xiaohongshu, it was everywhere. It was coming. Yibo posted some stuff. Yibo official posted, Chanel official posted, the photographer Oliver June and his studio, Warm Studio posted, everybody posted. There was also some short interview sort of stuff coming out from some of the media that was there, and a bunch of the fan sites produced more photos and videos, and there was just a lot. There was a lot. And then the news broke that Yibo was actually back in China already. He was there for like 3 days or something and turned around and he was back in China. On Thursday, Vogue put out a short video of Yibo, of one of those what's in his bag videos. It was just like 10 seconds or something. But eagle-eyed observers noticed that he was actually in a different outfit that he'd been seen in at the show. And that was suggestive. And then a few hours later, they put out a whole new photo shoot of Yibo in this second outfit. They had him posing on a little motorbike, like a dirt bike type deal, and on a skateboard and a whole bunch of things. And all of the pictures, it was like an advertorial for the Chanel J12 Blue watch, which is the like $10,000 watch or whatever that he was the first one who wore when he was in Paris. There were photos of him wearing it in Paris last year, I think. Anyway, he's clearly the J12 watch ambassador somehow. So yes, so that came out on Thursday, but that was not the only thing that came out on Thursday, because as far as I can tell, completely unannounced, like unpublicly announced and unrumored, even as far as I knew, he turned up at a public event in Beijing. Well, not open to the public event, but a governmental, it was a global dialogue on world civilization ministerial meeting or something like that. He was there. Song Ja, another actress, was there. They were seated together. There were a few other like celebrity entertainer type people and some sports people, but it was largely international sort of diplomatic types and people from cultural institutions in China and with connections to China, and it was quite a big deal. It ended up being a piece on the main news broadcast across China that night, with Wang Yibo having a little vox pop for in the thing. So because it was in public, again, there was heaps of footage and photos that came out of that. Even though it, as far as I know, nobody knew it was going to happen, everybody like in the site was got their phone out taking pictures, and there were some media there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out of that. There was a really cute interaction with I'm going to forget his name, Wei Keran, who is the vice president of Discovery. And he actually was one of the speakers on that first day of that event. He gave a lecture, but there is this little piece of footage of him and Yibo talking and smiling to one another and having a hug, and they took a selfie together, and somebody behind them was filming that, and it's very cute. So that was Thursday. Friday, the news broke. Hidden Blade, WuMing, Chang'e's last film, is getting a re-release. It's going to be released on August the 2nd, and that produced a huge amount of buzz. Saturday was pretty quiet, which is just as well, because at this point we were basically, everybody was drowning. All the fandom was busy all the fandom in China was busy organising group meetups to go to see the film. On Sunday, two things of note happened. Firstly, CCTV1 started replaying War of Faith. That we'd known that was going to be happening. It wasn't like a surprise or anything, but it's important because CCTV1 is like the flagship CCTV channel, and it's also, that was the 101st run, like broadcast throughout China at different TV stations since it was premiered March last year. So War of Faith just keeps on keeping on. The other thing that happened on Sunday is that a second whole new unexpected photo set and interview and event from Paris sort of started being released. So apart from the fashion show that Yibo went to, there was also it turns out, a Chanel jewelry preview. So it wasn't just Yibo. There were a couple of other people. I think Sin Jalei, I'm sorry, I've butchered her name, the actress who he sat with at the show, who there are lots of pictures of him and him and a woman at the show. She is another Chanel sort of friend of the house, and she was at the show, and she also went to this jewelry thing, and I think a couple of other people as well. But it was a very exclusive preview of the upcoming very, very top end Chanel jewelry collection. And there was a magazine piece put out by WuMing, which is a magazine offshoot of the Women's Wear Daily. And also Marie Claire had some of the photos and an interview. The photos were taken by Oliver June again, so he put out some photos. There was photos from Marie Claire. Part of the interview, that sort of the title of the interview as it was published by Marie Claire, is about something that Yibo said, that he said that, you know, that at the moment he's all about enjoying life. Oh, did I mention he was wearing this honking great big sapphire and diamond ring in all the photos? So yay. First thing Monday morning, Yibo posted about WuMing re-release coming out. His post got reposted by so many different people. Half of the brands reposted it, and a bunch of other, you know, official accounts and stuff, news accounts reposted it. They also, the WuMing Weibo account also put out a new trailer for the re-release, and apparently it's going to be, this time around, it's actually a higher definition print than what the original release was. So it's like, it's 2 years later and they've remastered it in 4K. So that was Monday. We're nearly there. Tuesday was a little bit of a quiet day, but there was a TV festival, like a conferencey thing, starting in Xi'an in Shaanxi on Tuesday, and a number of people sent video message recordings congratulating them on the festival and whatever, and Yibo was one of those. The only other kind of specifically Yibo connected thing that I can think of that happened this week is that he followed a new person on Instagram, Timmy O'Neill, who's another American rock climber. They're not mutuals. O'Neill was born in 1969 or something, so he's in fact older than me. I don't know that we're going to expect to see him climbing rocks in Exploring the Unknown 2. Who can say? But anyway, Yibo followed him, and that's pretty much all the Wang Yibo news. There's just a little sprinkling of Wang Yibo adjacent stuff. You know, racing, Yibo wasn't with them, but they were out racing again in Japan over the weekend, and they were actually doing pretty well. And then in the third race, they had a collision. One of the other drivers went through the pits towards the end of the third race because they were trying to make up, and there was a collision as they re-entered the track with the Uno car. Nobody was hurt, thankfully. But there you go. That's some Yibo adjacent news. Another even more vaguely connected Yibo adjacent news is Woods Cho Seng Young, who was one of Yibo's group mates back in Unique days. He has been doing his obligatory military service. He is in his final week. By the time I speak to you next week, he should be out, all things being equal. So that's a little bit exciting. I'm very excited about that, actually. And that's about it. That brings us up to brand stuff. You're just going to have to excuse me for a second while I catch my breath, because that was more Wangibo news than we've had at any point in this process, and I am like, it's been a week. It's been a week. I will get around to talking about the brands in just a second, but like, we all need to take a breath, and kind of our endurance isn't what it was. So hopefully all this deluge this week is a sign that he's back in business, and maybe it'll come a little bit more steadily from here on out. That'd be nice. Anyway, as I was saying, brand stuff. Obviously all the Chanel stuff happened this week. I've already talked about that. Lacoste put out a few new pics. They are not from they're from a photo set that we've already seen, but these was some new pics. Some of the ones with the layered polos shirts, they put out a few new pics of that. Master Kong Iced Tea put out a limited edition for summer mint and honeysuckle flavour, and there is a Wangibo ad for it. So that must have been like planned months ago and filmed, and that came out on Wednesday, I think, actually last Wednesday. And apart from that, like, the big brand thing this week was Helen Keller, who you'll recall have just done a big Yibo promotion with all the new photos. They launched this week a brand collaboration, a gift giving sort of promotion with a bunch of the other Yibo brands. So with Cotty Coffee and with Jeans West and with Lifespace and with, I don't know, there was a dozen or something. It was ridiculous. Not all of them posted about it. Most of them posted about it, but not all of them posted about it. But there's like, no, it wasn't a dozen, but it might have been 8 different brands that Helen Keller did this thing with. And so there's lots of prizes. Which, we all love. Well, we would love it more if we were in China and we were in the running. But hey, what can you do? The other very, very minor, very local in your area for me, brand news is that Cotty Coffee, for whom Wangibo is a global ambassador, opened an outlet in my city, and I got to go, and there was a Wangibo poster on the wall. So, awesome. I think it's the first time I've spotted like a Wangibo advertisement in the flesh with my own eyes. So that was a little bit exciting. But that's it. I've spoken for far too long. I'll get out of your hair now. I put links below of all the, bits and pieces that I've talked about, all the things that happened this week, all the millions of photos from Paris and other things. And I'm going to play us out with a little bit of the video that Yibo Official put out from Paris, because, it was very classy. He was there. It was all exciting. And I hope you all have a wonderful Wangibo Wednesday. Bye.